Hello and welcome, dear Redprint users. This is one of the many advanced Redprint Laravel app builder videos that we're going to publish over the course of time for the users. In this particular video, we're going to demonstrate how you can locally set up Redprint with Vagrant. This is an approach to provide the developers with a standard tooling while using Redprint. One of the differences between Redprint and other app builders is that Redprint never wants to compromise with the quality. So while we are presenting you with a very shortcut way of coding, or we're helping you with the speed at which you develop, we don't want you to code in a non-standard way. So one of the good practices is to use a containerized development environment so that you don't have to resolve the dependencies yourselves. For example, Redprint requires that you have PHP 7.3 or 7.2 installed in your system. Also, Laravel-based applications leverages the idea of Redis and supervisor, things like that, right? And latest version of MySQL and whatnot. Oftentimes it's a big issue for our users to have a identical or ideal development environment set up for them. To solve that kind of problems, there has been a lot of technologies lurking around. One of the most popular of them is Vagrant and Docker. So to provide our users with a premium experience of development, we thought that we would be publishing these development environments as code, that is like infrastructure as code or IAC. So Redprint right now ships with both Vagrant and Docker support out of the box, and let's jump on to show you guys how you can use Vagrant to set up your local computer and use Redprint for your development purposes. Okay, the first thing you will need to do is start your terminal application with administrator privileges. We're using Windows Terminal here, but you could use PowerShell, or in macOS you could use iTerm or whatever you want, just to start it as administrator mode. This is not required for macOS or Linux users. For Windows users, this is the only thing they have to make sure, that they start the terminal as the administrator. Anyway, so let's go to the folder where your Redprint installation is. In our case, it's in D drive, Redprint app builder, and all you have to do is just run Vagrant up. That's it. So let's wait for this command to complete. What this does is it creates a virtual machine on your computer that will have everything like PHP, Nginx, Redis, supervisor, everything pre-installed and on that application or on that container. Okay, one prerequisite: if you guys have already used Vagrant with Hyper-V, then there is nothing to worry about. You're all set to go. But in case there is someone who uses Vagrant with VirtualBox, you will show you how you can still use VirtualBox. But this version of Vagrant support for Redprint, it uses Windows Hyper-V for Windows platform, and for Linux and Mac OS it still uses VirtualBox. Okay, in one of these steps it's going to ask you what you want to use at your as your network switch. So we're going to use the primary virtual switch as our switch, so let's use it. 2, we chose 2. You could use 3 or default switch, which is always present by default. We're not using the number 1, which is dedicated for Docker, so we're not going to use it to avoid any conflicts. Anyway, let's wait for it. So in this step, it reports you the IP address of your virtual machine that is going to be assigned. So let's copy it and keep it safe. By the way, you can get this IP address anytime after the Vagrant provisioning has been done from inside the machine using ipconfig or ipadd or those Linux commands. This I want to add some more background to why we are switching to Vagrant and Docker and kind of discouraging of installing it locally using your local WAMP or MAMP setup. Is that, you know, oftentimes you face issues with Laravel and the latest version of PHP or environment itself, which are by no means tied to Redprint, but you end up thinking that this is probably a Redprint bug. That's one of the reasons. And the second reason, of course, like we said, if you're going to develop a industry standard or modern day application, you would probably need something like this anyway. So we're just trying to aid you and making Redprint a perfect development tool for you rather than just being a crude builder or something like that. Okay, so in this step, this is tricky. It's going to ask you for the username password of your Windows account. So this is important. You have to give your Windows account username and Windows account password that you use to log into your Windows computer. So please keep that in mind. This is required for SMB mounting. So your local folder is going to be mounted virtually inside of this virtual machine, so it requires your SMB access, which actually needs your Windows account and password. Anyway, let's move on. It's not going to take long now. We're going to wait for it. So in this step, it is going to install a lot of Linux packages inside of that virtual machine, which is going to take a long time first time. From the second time, it's going to take like 3 or 4 seconds to boot up, so don't even worry about it. But first time, it's going to take like 15 to 20 minutes depending on your internet speed. So we'll probably cut that part from this video to make this less boring. Okay, we had to wait like 10 minutes as expected, and now we are equipped with a virtual machine with Redis and supervisor and MySQL latest database and PHP 7.3 all in it. And let's try out and you can see that it even ran the migrations and permissible setups and JWT secrets, whatnot. You're like totally ready to use it on your development environment. We already know that we got the IP address in one of the steps of setup. Let's the IP address was this 192.168.0.101. As you can see, this is running Redprint as good as ever. Now if you want to have a different named host, you could just do whatever you used to do before and go to drivers on Windows, etc host. For Linux and Mac OS, you could just nano etc/host, and you could just give this 192.168.0.101 to redprint.dev or whatever. Actually, let's try redprint.local like before, and now we could just visit it using redprint.local all the same. Let's wait for it. Yeah, so that's it. That concludes our video for setting up Redprint with Vagrant, and it's as you can see. Thank you very much everyone for watching.